Hello, my friends. Everyday English hides echoes of empire, culture clashes, political mistakes, and even old pub etiquette. Today, we re-exploring 5 idioms with powerful historical roots, expressions that reveal how language remembers the past, even when people forget it. Let's dive right into the stories behind them. The first idiom, the sun never sets on. Meaning, this idiom means that something is vast, widespread, or so large that it seems to operate everywhere at once. Origin, this expression comes from the height of the British Empire in the 19th century. At its peak, the empire controlled territories across multiple continents: Europe, Africa, Asia, and the Pacific. Because these lands were spread across time zones, the sun was always shining on at least one of them. Politicians used the phrase proudly, calling Britain the empire on which the sun never sets. Over time, the phrase became symbolic of enormous influence, global reach, or unstoppable expansion, used far beyond politics. Examples and context. Tech companies say the sun never sets on their operations because they work in every time zone. The sun never sets on her travel blog. She posts stories from all over the world. With offices on every continent, the corporation could truly say the sun never sets on its business. From something enormous and powerful, let's switch to something surprisingly troublesome, an idiom about a gift nobody wants. The second idiom, white elephant. Meaning, a white elephant is something expensive, useless, or difficult to get rid of, especially a costly project that brings more problems than benefits. Origin, the phrase comes from Southeast Asian royalty, where rare albino elephants were considered sacred. These animals couldn't be worked, sold, or harmed, yet they required enormous amounts of money and effort to feed and maintain. According to legend, kings would gift a white elephant to someone they wished to ruin financially. Over time, the idiom spread to English as a metaphor for burdensome possessions, huge stadiums no one needs, failed government projects, or gifts that create more trouble than joy. Examples and context. The abandoned stadium has become a white elephant for the city. His luxury boat turned into a white elephant he couldn't afford to maintain. The new software system is a white elephant, expensive and barely useful. If a white elephant overwhelms you, our next idiom describes what happens when people immerse themselves so deeply in another culture that they stop feeling like outsiders. The third idiom, go native. Meaning, to go native means to adopt the customs, lifestyle, or behavior of a local culture so completely that you stop acting like an outsider. Origin, this idiom comes from colonial times, when European administrators lived abroad for years. Some officials abandoned European customs and embraced local clothing, food, and traditions. Colonial leaders viewed this as a loss of loyalty and described it disapprovingly as going native. The phrase has evolved since then. Today it can be humorous, neutral, or slightly critical, depending on the context, but it always refers to fully embracing another culture. Examples and context. After living in Japan for a year, he went native and started bowing to everyone. She went native in Italy. Now she cooks every meal from scratch. Tourists sometimes go native after a week at the beach resort. But while going native is voluntary, our next idiom comes from a situation where someone is forced to take blame, even when it's not their fault. The fourth idiom, carry the can. Meaning, this idiom means taking the blame or responsibility for something, especially when others avoid it. Origin, the phrase likely originated in British military slang in the early 20th century. Carrying the can referred to the junior soldier responsible for bringing beer or supplies from town. If something went wrong, if the can was empty or lost, the junior soldier took the blame. Over time, this transformed into a wider metaphor for being the one who suffers consequences for a group's mistakes. Today, carrying the can describes unfair responsibility, workplace scapegoats, or situations where one person takes the fall for the many. Examples and context. When the project failed, he carried the can while the managers stayed silent. She refused to carry the can for mistakes she didn't make. The intern ended up carrying the can for the whole department. And finally, let's visit an idiom rooted in old pubs and perfect politeness. The fifth idiom, mind your P's and Q's. Meaning, this idiom means to behave politely, be careful with your manners, or pay attention to details. Origin, there are several theories about this expression's origin, but the most famous one comes from English pubs in the 17th century. Bartenders kept track of customers' drinks using the letters P for pints and Q for quarts. Drinkers were told to mind their P's and Q's to avoid arguments over their taps. Another theory links it to children learning handwriting, carefully paying attention to similar-looking letters. Regardless of the true origin, the idiom evolved to mean being polite, precise, and well-behaved. Examples and context. Parents told their kids to mind their P's and Q's at the dinner party. In a formal meeting, it's important to mind your P's and Q's. He forgot to mind his P's and Q's and interrupted the speaker. So today, we explored 5 idioms shaped by empire, culture, blame, and good manners. The sun never sets on. White elephant. Go native, carry the can, and mind your P's and Q's. Which idiom surprised you the most? Write it in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts.